Think of all the actions you can perform. You can stand, sit, kneel, walk, run, dance, speak, write, read, and listen. And we can perform many other actions. You can smile, laugh, cry, shout, jump, and hop. All of these are called verbs, words that tell us what the subject of a sentence is doing. Verbs are one of the most important parts of speech. In fact, they are the only word that every complete sentence needs to have or to include. You can make a grammatically correct sentence without any nouns or adjectives, but no matter what, you need a verb. So if you want your writing to be clear and effective, you need to understand the different types of verbs and how they work. What is a verb? A verb is a word that denotes action or state of being. As part of speech, a verb is the action in the sentence. Along with a noun, the verb is a critical component of a complete sentence. Somebody does something. This is how nouns and verbs work together. Let's have the following examples. 1. I cried. The noun I is the subject, the doer of the action, and the action is the verb cried. 2. She laughs. She is the doer of the action, and the action is the verb laughs. And 3. He is screaming. He, who is the doer of the action, is the subject of the sentence and is performing the action screaming. This is the verb in this particular sentence. So this is how nouns and verbs interplay. In grammar, the subject is the doer of the action. The action is the predicate, which is that part of the sentence containing the verb and describing the subject. So the formula is very simple. Subject plus predicate equals a complete sentence. Let's have the following examples. 1. Jacob smiles. That's a complete sentence. 2. If we add an object, it becomes Jacob smiles at Seth. At Seth is the object. 3. Jacob smiles at Seth when he fumbles the ball. We added the phrase when he fumbles the ball, which is actually a subordinate clause. But as far as making a complete sentence is concerned, all of the three are grammatically correct and complete sentences. So no matter how complex your sentence is, the verb is always the action. It tells you what the subject is doing, feeling, or being. Now let us talk about how to use verbs properly in writing or to make your writing more effective. You use verbs whenever you talk and write. Verbs move every story forward because verbs denote action. Important note in writing: your verb choice delivers a punch to your prose, so to speak. Using the right verb also increases readability for your audience because you don't need to lengthen the sentence by describing the action with extra modifiers. The verb does all the work. In other words, verbs will do the magic. One of the ways to use verbs effectively in writing is don't hide your verbs. Some writers unintentionally hide their verbs by turning them into nouns accompanied by a weak verb. Let's take these two examples. 1. I will decide next week. 2. I will make a decision next week. What did you observe? Well, both are complete sentences, but the first sentence is shorter and more direct. In the second sentence, the strong verb decide in the first one is changed into the weaker verb make, which dilutes the meaning. So how can you spot hidden verbs? Look for words ending in ment, tion, sion, and ance. If you spot one, that's a warning of a hidden verb. Also, if you use weak verbs like give, have, make, reach, and take, that is another sign of a weak verb, of a hidden verb. 2. Avoid passive verbs. You could say, the stone was thrown by me, or I threw the stone, and both sentences mean the same thing. Both are grammatically correct. However, it's normally better to convey action and grab your reader's attention rather than using passive verbs like is, has, or was. Rewording your sentences to favor active verbs instead of passive verbs will strengthen or make your writing more effective and efficient. For example, you can use a verb instead of an adjective. Let's take these original sentences. He is asleep under the mango tree. Now, if we are going to improve this, we can have he sleeps under the mango tree. The verb sleeps is more powerful than the passive version is asleep. So we prefer the second sentence, which is a much improved sentence compared to the first one. Similarly, you can use verb instead of a noun. Let's have the original sentence here. Jane was a good writer. We can improve it by having Jane wrote well. Once again, the verb wrote is more powerful than the passive version was a good writer because it conveys movement and action. So letting active verbs do the heavy lifting in your sentence will help you convey your point to your readers in a strong, accurate, precise, and concise way. Third, choose specific verbs instead of modifying weak verbs. Some verbs in the English language are more precise and more descriptive than others. So we rather use those verbs which are more precise and descriptive than others to convey a point. For example, the word whispered conveys more information than the word said because it implies adverbs like quietly or furtively. So instead of using the word said, we use whispered. Similarly, the verb sprint conveys more information than move because it tells the reader the specific type of movement being described. Sprint is a swift, fast action as compared to the generic verb move. Although there's nothing wrong with using a generic verb like said, but if you want to provide more information, it's almost always better to use a specific verb instead of modifying weak verb. Sometimes this rule means replacing a generic verb and its adverb with a stronger, more powerful specific verb. That's all for now. I hope you learned something. Thank you for all the love and support. See you again later. Thank you very much. Bumali ba?